Hey guys, it's Risa Shea from FlyFierceFab, and in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about how to find your perfect foundation. So if you follow me on Snapchat, which you totally should, FlyFierceFab, but anyways, you might remember that when I was looking for a winter foundation, I was going through it. I couldn't find a color match that I liked, I couldn't find a formula that I liked, like I was literally just going through it. And to top it off, the winter foundation I'd used from the year before, I now feel like is a little too red for my skin tone, so I was just like, what am I gonna do? Oh my gosh. So that being said, I did wind up finding a really great winter foundation, and I feel like a lot of the time shopping for foundations can be really hard in general, especially for women of color. A lot of the times it's hard to find the right shade and the right undertone. So I thought I'd make this video for you guys to share some tips that I've learned along the way that helped me find some really great foundations. Basically, I have 7 foundation shopping and application tips that I'm gonna break down in this video. That might kind of sound like a lot, but they're really simple and super helpful. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing is you need to know what you're looking for, which is also a really great life and dating tip, but that's not what this video is about. You need to know what you're looking for. So 1, you need to know what kind of skin do you have. Are you oily? Do you have sensitive skin? Are you dry? Do you have a combination thing going on? That'll help you narrow down what type of foundation you need to get. For instance, if you have dry skin, you might want to try a foundation that is hydrating or illuminating. If you have oily skin, you might want to look for a foundation that's more mattifying or has like a matte finish. And then with that, you also need to figure out what kind of coverage you want. So do you want sheer coverage? Do you want medium coverage? Or do you want full coverage, which is my personal favorite? So for instance, if you want sheer coverage, you might look for like a lightweight foundation or a tinted moisturizer. And that's important to keep in mind because if you want sheer coverage, one of my favorite foundations, which is Estee Lauder Doublewear, it's probably not going to be what you're looking for because that's more of a medium to full coverage foundation. But if you know you specifically want a product that gives sheer coverage, now you can narrow things down even more in terms of what to look for. My second foundation shopping tip is that you need to know your undertones, and I do have a bit of a story that goes with that. A lot of the times when I've gotten matched at certain stores, and that is why a lot of the times I like to just be the loner when I do my makeup shopping, but anyways, I feel like a lot of the times some of the artists had trouble correctly identifying my undertones, which is why the shades of foundations they were selecting I never particularly cared for. So for instance, my go-to winter foundation a lot of the time is the Lancome Tint Idole Ultra Wear, and I wear it in the shade 500 Suede Warm. I went to Sephora last summer to try and get matched to that same foundation. At the time, the artist matched me to like 470 or 460 Cool. I don't have cool undertones, I have warm undertones, so it did not look right on my skin, and because of this, I looked ashy when I put that foundation on. And that's why it's really important to understand what your undertones are, because not only do you need to find the right shade, you need to find the right shade with the right undertones. So as far as undertones go, you can be cool, warm, neutral, or olive. A quick tip to help you identify your undertones, you want to look at your wrists, specifically at your veins. So if your veins look green, you have warm undertones. If they look blue, then you have cool undertones. So like me, my veins look green, I have warm undertones. If you look at your wrist and your veins look blue, then you have cool undertones. And that's something that'll be really helpful when you're shopping for foundations in different shades. Then you know, okay, I need to look at the warm shades, or okay, I need to focus on the cool shades. Okay, so my third foundation shopping tip is to find a skin twin and to do some research. So basically a skin twin is somebody who is close to your skin tone and you guys wear a lot of the same shades in certain foundations. So whether that's like a beauty influencer or a guru from like YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter, so it kind of helps as a guideline when you're just deciding like what foundations to try, then you can narrow it down to certain shades. Now bear in mind that doesn't mean that you're going to be the same shade in every foundation that they are, but it does help as a guideline. So for instance, one of my skin twins is actually Jackie Aina. There are a few foundations that she's worn in specific shades that I've also worn and have matched me quite well. So like the Hourglass foundation that I'm wearing right now, and even my winter foundation, which is the Lancome Tint Idole in the shade 500 Suede Warm. With that, also you want to do a lot of research. When I'm curious about a foundation, I will literally hop right here on YouTube and just type in the name of the foundation and maybe even like the certain shade that I want to see. Because for me, me, I want to see how that foundation wears an oily skin like mine, and I also want to see how it looks on a woman of color who is close to my skin tone. Also, there are websites where you can type in like a foundation shade that you've worn before, and it will direct you towards other shades that have matched people that wore that same shade. And also at Sephora, they have the color IQ system, and that works in two ways. So one, you can go in and like they'll scan your face and it will suggest foundations that should match you based on those pictures. You do still want to try those foundations on, because there have been times where it matched me to certain shades and they just did not look right when they were all over my face to me, but it's all personal preference. So it can really help you cut out a lot of the guesswork in terms of like narrowing it down to a particular shade. So my foundation tip number 4 is to set yourself up for success with your application. You still have to moisturize your face. You can never skip moisturizing your face. It's just not good for your skin at all. Also, make sure you have a good primer that caters to your skin's needs. Tip number 5 is for when you're shopping in the store and when you try the foundation on. Before you purchase a foundation, I definitely recommend trying it on all over your face in the store. And then after you do that, you want to take a flash photo of your face on your phone. Now I'm going to show you guys a couple of pictures from when I got matched in Sephora. As you can see, those foundations didn't really match so well. When you take a flash photo, you'll be able to see if this foundation is going to cause flashback. You'll see if it matches you really well, and it'll also help you see like if the undertones are right. Okay, so let's say you're in the store and you've decided on a foundation that you'd like to try, and now you're trying to find your shade. I always say that it's best to pick out 3 shades to try first by swatching them on your hand. The shade you think you are, a shade lighter, and then the shade darker. Now I usually start out with them on my hand to make sure that I'm starting in the right shade range, and when I go to swatch it, I usually like to swatch it like in this area along my jawline into my neck, just to see how it'll blend into both my face and my neck. My 7th and last foundation tip is you need to know how to work with the shade you've selected. So a lot of the times it can be hard to find a foundation shade that is like a spot on match for your skin color. That's super rare, and I honestly can't remember the last time I swiped on a foundation and was like, ooh, that's my exact skin tone color. Usually I wind up coming across foundations that are either slightly lighter or slightly darker. But let me tell you what, if it's worth it, then let me work it. For instance, with me, I tend to prefer to purchase the shade that is slightly darker. Like the foundation I have on right now is slightly darker than my actual skin tone. And mainly how I adjust that is when I highlight and when I contour, but specifically when I'm like highlighting my face and I'm adding back the dimension. And of course, nobody's the same color like all over their body, but when I use a darker foundation and highlight and contour with the right products, now everything melds together nicely. And then if you choose to go with a foundation that's slightly lighter, you'll probably need to use something a little bit darker to mix with it to make it the correct shade. And then also you can use a slightly darker face powder just to adjust the all over color of your face, like this one by BH Cosmetics. And a lot of times people like to mix foundations. I personally just don't like to do that because I don't want to have to buy 2 foundations, and I don't want to always have to mix it every single time I do makeup. But anyways, those are my foundation tips, my 7 tips for finding and buying your perfect foundation, and some application tips as well. If you have any questions, or even if you have like a foundation shopping tip or something like that that you think could be helpful to others, leave it in the comments below so we can all help each other out. And you definitely want to make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of my foundation reviews or makeup tutorials and stuff like that. You can catch me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. I am FlyFierceFab on all those platforms. Thanks for watching, stay snatched, and I'll see you next time.